Yes, welcome along to What a Shout in association with Bet365 with David Jennings, Paul Kealy and Richard Forristal, and we have got up at a ridiculously early time in the morning just to find you winners on day one of the Cheltenham Festival, and we'll be with you every single day, so stay tuned for What a Shout. Paul, this is the most exciting time of the week. None of us have tipped the loser yet.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, it normally doesn't last very long, that does it? But
yeah, well, I have a couple of dead anti-post slips. So
oh yeah, I've got a few of them myself. Yeah,
you had to dampen the mood, didn't you? Yeah, but it's exciting. First day, you're ready to go now. We're ready.
Oh God, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I was up all night wondering about how much rain we're going to get. I thought they had loads, but they said they've only had 4 mil. It's going to be soft though, isn't it?
Absolutely, and look at that view behind us. Absolutely glorious. The Cotswolds in all its March glory. So we're going to kick off with the Supreme Novice Hurdle. It's at 1:30, and Asterior Phalange, Paul, is currently a very strong favourite, very well back in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, it looks like he's only going to get stronger as well. Obviously, a lot of confidence behind him. Willie Mullins has obviously had 4 of the last 7 winners as a Supreme. He's a bit of an expert in the race. He didn't have a horse in the top 5 in the betting for any of the novice hurdles until the Dublin Racing Festival when Asterior Phalange blew him away. I'm not 100% certain what he beat there, but you certainly can't moan about the way he did it. And it'd be hard to beat if in a similar level of form. He does edge out to his right a little bit. I don't know whether that will affect him too much. I always think it doesn't really matter so much over hurdles than fences. But I quite like Shishkin's in the same ownership with Nicky Henderson's. I just like the pace he showed when he scored at Newbury and Huntingdon. A very, very fast horse. Reminded me a little bit of Altior when he won at Newbury. Just absolutely flew away, and it might be early to make those comparisons, but a few years ago Altior was a bit weak in the market against Willie Mullins' men and absolutely slammed him. I'm hoping for the same again.
Never too early, Paul. He could be another Altior. Might I say it's not a very Paul Kealy type tip, as in he hasn't gone and done it. You like horses that have done it.
Yes,
this is potential.
Yes, I normally like it, but I just like what he did there. I mean, I was similar with Altior at the time because obviously he only ran in a novice hurdle at Kempton. He didn't run in any graded races, so hopefully lightning will strike from us.
Might I say you're looking very dapper today as well. Very, very impressed. Yeah. Good to see you making an effort.
We'll make an effort.
And it's for you, Mr. Forristal. What happened to the tie?
Next question.
What do you fancy the Supreme?
I was a big Asterion Phalange fan all along. He's a beautiful sort of horse. He's coming. He's a late developer. Obviously, he only ran his bumper in November. My slight concern is inexperience with him now. The more I look at it, you go back through the last 10 or 12 years of the Supreme winners, they've all had 4, 5, 6 runs. Classical Dream last year was having his 8th run when he ran in it. It just seems to be a race where you need to have that bit of experience. So that's a slight concern with him. He's only had 2 runs over hurdles. The point, you have to go back to Captain CB in 2008 to find the last horse to win a Supreme with such little experience.
You've your homework done.
Little bit,
very impressive.
I was doing that instead of tying me tie. But the one I've come down on ultimately, it's such a deep race in terms of the top 5, in terms of depth and promise. So much promise there with Shishkin, Fiddler and Roof, Asterion Phalange, Abacadabra and so on. I came down in the end because it's the strongest form, I think, with Abacadabras. We don't know how good Shishkin is. We don't know how good Asterion Phalange is. We look at last year's champion bumper form. You got Envoy Allen winning at Abacadabra 4th. Time Hill was placed. Just looked a very good, solid level of form. And there's a narrative built up around this guy that he doesn't want it, testing and so on. I'm not too worried about that. He thrashed latest exhibition in deep ground at Navan. As we know, he was placed behind Envoy Allen again in Fairyhouse. And his run, albeit it might not have been a very good grade 1 at Leopardstown over Christmas, he did it really well. It was the second day. First day was really testing. It was still quite testing the second day. By the 4th day, it was nearly fast ground. It's incredible the way Leopardstown drains. But I don't think the ground is a big deal with him. He's got Davy Russell on board, and I just think he's possibly the one with the most proven level of form, and I'm coming down there. He's 5-1 with Bet365.
Yeah, absolutely. He's turned into a bit of value. Yeah. Abracadabras for Richard Forristal. I'm with you, Keels. I'm a Shishkin fan. I love the potential. It's all about potential. I think this horse has got serious potential. One of the bigger price, Sovia Pimpernel, 40-1 Bet365. I think he'll go well. Anything at a massive price?
I think Edwardstone will run well. I think a big field, and if they go hard, he just didn't settle at Haydock last time.
Excellent. So it's 2 votes for Shishkin and 1 for Abracadabras. Moving on to the 210 at Cheltenham, and it is the Racing Post Arkle. And what a race we have in store. Could this be the start of a Rachel Blackmore domination, Richard Forristal?
Yeah, I think it could be a good week for her, and this could be the start of it.
What have you in your notebook there? See what I did
there? Yeah, very good.
Wasn't that good.
Yeah, well, look, notebook obviously wasn't of the same calibre as maybe even Brewing Up a Storm over hurdles last year. They both ran into Ballymore, and Brewing Up a Storm looked like the better hurdler, and ran well at Aintree as well. I just think he's a typical Henry de Bromhead horse who has progressed and progressed. He's won a Grade 2, he's won 2 Grade 1s. He's taken on Fakir Dudaras again. Personally, I'm slightly surprised they didn't go for the marsh with Fakir Dudaras. I just think he might need further to be at his best. He won a Drinmore, as we know, over 2.5.
Was outpacing the Supreme last year?
Yeah. So I know there's question marks about Notebook in terms of, when he comes here on the big stage. The one thing with him is the temperament. I didn't see what he did at Leopardstown until a couple of days later before the race, and he bolted good and proper.
Now, obviously, trainers are going to make excuses when this happens. I did interview Henry de Bromhead for the big read, and he said he's not one bit worried because the horse was so fresh. He said he let all the horses that run at Christmas have a holiday afterwards, and he reckons that Notebook was extremely fresh. But is it an excuse?
Well, look, he still won the race.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is, I'm not sure if they're putting earplugs in him on the way down.
On the way down, start the area.
So that will help, and I'll be looking at it thinking, if it does, sure, he might improve another 7 or 8 pounds, and then I think he's gonna take a bit of stopping.
So he's not very short. He's 130 at the moment with
Exactly.
365. You think that's?
I think it's value at that.
You think it's value? He's the one to beat. Paul Kealy, what wins the race in Post Arkle?
Yeah, it's one of those. I think at the beginning of the season, we were all thinking, well, the British trained chasers, 2 mile chasers, aren't all that good. And obviously, Notebook and Fakir Dudaras, they ran against each other. They ran really well, and you got cash back and that. And we thought, well, this is going to go to Ireland. But I think what happened is later in the season, some better performances came out of Britain, and the market hasn't taken enough notice of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying Notebook shouldn't be favourite, but he was shorter a few days ago than he even is now. And I think we might get a little bit of compression towards the front of the market with some of the British runners going in a bit shorter. I like, as an outsider, I like Moira Banrai. I'm not 100% certain that she wants to go down as soft as going to be, but she has won 6 in a row since January 2018. She jumps really well. She's won all 4 of the chases without looking like getting beaten, and there's going to be a fair pace burn up here, I think. Even if Fakir Dudaras doesn't go on, which I think they have to over 2 mile, because I think he's definitely a stayer. Notebook's going to be up there. Global Citizen Salt, when he wasn't allowed to make the run at Carlisle, and then won well at Kempton. So I think they're going to go really hard here, and I want something that stays. Brewing Up a Storm is another one. Just a little bit concerned that he takes a bit of time to warm up in the early stages, and he might, if he puts in, 1 or 2 sloppy jumps early on, he might find himself out of the race very quickly. That would be my worry with him, because he stays a lot further. So it's Moira Banrai for me, and I might have a little each way on Esprit du Large as well, who won at Sandown. I think it's quite a nice horse.
Okay, so 2 big price fancies from Paul Kealy. Moira Banrai gets 12 to 1 with Bet365. And your other selection, Esprit du Large, at the moment is 12 to 1. And I'm going to go for an even bigger price one, Paul. I'm going to go for Al Dancer, 20 to 1. I think he's been crying out for a strongly run 2 miles. A bigger field. He's been running and slowly run 4-runner races for most of the season. I just think today could be the day when we see the best of Al Dancer.
Funnily enough, I was at a preview the other day. Willie Twiston-Davis was there. He said, don't be surprised if Al Dancer runs a really, really big race, and don't be surprised if we're a lot more positive on him than we have been. I'm not sure I would want to be that positive in a race like this, though.
Probably not the right race to change tactics. But that's very good to hear, Paul. Thanks very much for that.
Problem.
Okay, moving on to the ULTIMA handicap chase, and it's at 250. And I'm going to set the ball rolling here because I think I found one. In Cepage for Venetia Williams, rated 155, trying 3 miles for the first time. I just think the run against Riders on the Storm earlier on in the season, giving Riders on the Storm £7, beating less than 2 lengths, that's a hell of a run in my book. Ground will be perfect. I think he'll stay. He is 16 to 1 Bet365, and I think that is terrific value. Am I wrong, Paul?
You might be right. You might be right. I mean, the
might be
big
wrong.
question mark is stamina, isn't it? You said you think he'll stay. It's going to take a fair amount of getting. I mean, like you said, this is going to be very soft ground. I would prefer a horse with proven stamina.
And that is?
It's why I like Gildesart, because he obviously won over 3 mile 1 furlong at Aintree last season. Went missing pretty much the majority of this season, as did pretty much all of Ben Pauling's runners. But I thought he was quite eye-catching, staying on really strongly from the second last at Kempton just before this meeting. And he's going to come in here just £2 higher than he was at Aintree. Now, obviously, he was fourth in the JLT last year, but a nose ahead of Vindication, who's favourite, and he's £9 better off with Vindication. Vindication goes out to his right, and he went through a few last year in the JLT as well. Did look very good at Ascot, but still worried about him on a left-handed track. So I think Kildesite is the one to beat. Discorama will obviously run well because he's twice been second at the festival. And I got half a shout for an outsider, Activial, who was sixth in the race off £6 higher mark last year. But I mean, Kildesite is one I quite strongly fancy.
Excellent, and it is 10-1 with Bet365. Richard Forristal, it's a bit of a minefield.
It is.
What have you come up with?
In the end, I came down on no comment. Vindication, obviously, Kim Bailey is enjoying a resurgence, but it's not easy for a horse to give 11-12 in a race like this, carry top weight.
Former employee as well.
That's right.
You rode a few times from at Cheltenham.
I did, yeah, long time ago.
How did that go?
Not good. We won't go there.
No comment?
All the puns today. You can't keep up with this guy.
On form,
But it's tough, I think, for a relatively inexperienced horse. Untempered 2 was the last one to carry 11-12 to victory. It's not easy to do. Discorama, I'm just not sure he's well handicapped. You mentioned Discorama. He was placed in the boys' race off 136. His only other run in the handicap was in the Tri-Town when he bombed out off 149. He's in off 148 here, and I just wonder, he's not a horse that wins very much. I wouldn't be mad fond of him. The one I came down on was no comment. Ran in the Kimbior last year off 138. He's in off 137 here. 10 stone 4. Dickie Johnson. I think you get a run for your money, 12-1 at Bet365.
So moving on to the feature on day one, it's at 3:30 and it is the Champion Hurdle. Now, Paul, we have done an awful amount of Cheltenham preview nights, too many to mention. Done a lot of drinking, we've done more talking, and from listening to experts like you, maybe not me, Epatante is the one horse that people are taking on. Are we right to be taking on Epatante?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure I want to take her on because I tend not to back too many favourites anyway. It's funny because we're all saying take her on and she's getting shorter in the betting.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not
It's
everybody.
the absence of a viable alternative.
Exactly, this is it. It's a five-length winner of the Christmas Hurdle at Kempton, very easy winner. On that form, she's the one horse in the race who could blow the race wide open. Only thing is, the only bad run of her life came at Cheltenham last year in a big field when she jumped terribly. I mean, she dived at.
She jumped every hurdle downhill badly, which is worrying.
Exactly. She dived at the third, fourth, and fifth. She landed flat-footed at the last, and you would have to worry about her on an undulating track. We shall soon see. She's obviously a miles better horse now than she was 12 months ago, but I'm inclined to take her on. The question is, what with? I mean, obviously, Pentland Hills has been second favourite for ages. I don't think that will be the case by the time they're off. Because nobody seems to fancy him, and I can understand
Certainly
that.
not you.
No, well, if someone told you, at the start of the season that a horse would run twice and finish behind Bally Andy twice and still go off second favourite for the Champion Hurdle, you'd think they were bonkers, wouldn't you? But that's where we are. It's this sort of race, isn't it? So anyway, I'm going for a couple of rags. I mean, we've discussed Nicky Henderson's two shortest price ones, but I like Call Me Lord. He won the International in December. He's going to love a fast pace. I mean, there's going to be some pace here. Cornerstone Lad, assuming there's no full start. Not So Sleepy will be up there. Petit Mouchoir will be up there. So it's going to be a strong run race.
What happened last time?
Well, it was a 4-runner race at Sandown. I just don't think he suited it. I think he's one of those horses that wants a bit of cover and to be towed along into the race. And I just don't. He's run some brilliant races at Sandown, but always in big fields. So, I would give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, obviously, that race at Sandown, it's very hard to get it's very, unusual to get a really, really impressive winner. I mean, I remember Binocular struggled home at odds of 1-7, several years ago before winning the Champion. And the other one is Silver Streak. I mean, he was third last year. He was beaten 15 lengths, admittedly. But he still finished ahead of Lorena, Apples J, and Apples J, those that stood up. So, and he's got very good form in big fields. He's only been out of the first three once when completing the big field over hurdles. He's been in the frame every time he's run at Cheltenham. Second in an 18 run at Greatwood.
Here's the question for you then, okay? If Silver Streak repeats the exact same performance as he did in the race last year, where does he finish?
Second or third, probably. I mean, I know he got beat 15 lengths last year, but there just isn't that much in this race.
No.
Okay. Well, at the moment, Call Me Lord is 16-1, Bet365, and Silver Streak is 25-1. Two nice prices, Paul. Richard, I'll put it to you that we're saying it's a really bad race. The only way it can become a really good race is if Epatante wins.
I'd agree entirely with that. Yeah, she's the only kind of hope there for producing a proper winner. I think we've got only two horses rated 160 or higher in it, which is just ridiculous in a Champion Hurdle. Sharjah and Super Sunday, I think. One interesting thing about Celios Emery, I find, is obviously the Willie Mullins factor, but I think he's only supplemented 2 horses at the festival.
Correct. Can you name them?
I can, yeah.
for it.
Any Power in the Champion Hurdle and On His Own in the Gold Cup.
Correct.
Who
Bonus points.
plenty will tell you should have won. Deep ground is going to help him. The fact that it's a very poor renewal is obviously going to give him a chance. The concern, again, would be that he's not... His 3 previous runs were over fences, and when you're coming into a Champion Hurdle, I know he's had 1 run over hurdles, but it was in deep ground again at Gorn. Look, I think he's got a chance, but I think if he wins, it doesn't reflect great on the race. As you say, Epatante is the one who can save it. Having said all that, I'm a bit like Paul. I think in a race like this, you have to have a stab at something. And I came down in Cornerstone lads' corner, shall we say.
Wasn't expecting that, as Jamie Lawson would say.
I know, but he's won a fighting fifth. He was very progressive before that. He won his couple of handicaps. The run at Haydock, he was giving way to Pentland Hills and to Ballyandy.
That's right. I mean,
and I don't think
make a case for him being shorter than he is.
I don't. Yeah, he's 28 to 1, and they're far shorter. Like when you look at the prices, he beat Silver Streak as well in the fighting fifth. Similarly, maybe not quite as easily, obviously, as Epatante did, but similar sort of margin. And I don't think he went that quick at Haydock. I'd say that might have counted against him, and I don't think they went strong enough. Yeah. And they'll have learned a bit that day. He's a 6-year-old, and if that horse isn't still improving, I'd be amazed. So. Nearly 30 to 1 with bet 365. I think if you're, you could do a lot worse than have a stab at him on the ground, because he will absolutely relish it. 28
to 1, Cornerstone lad with bet 365 or Richard Forristal. I'm going to play it very simple because I think Epatante is the best male or female in the race. She's rated 159. The mare's allowance brings her up to 166, and I think that's going to be good enough this year. I don't think she was right in Cheltenham last year. There's rumours suggesting, she had a few little issues that were tampered with. And I think the real Epatante was...
Have you ever seen a favourite get beaten in a race and not have an excuse?
No, I've mine made up for today already.
And her
for
only
every single one.
Her only other run on an undulating track was Exeter when she was 1 to 6. So you can't judge her.
She won though.
She did win.
Yeah, she did.
But she was 1 to 6.
Moving swiftly on to the 410. It is a Close Brothers Mares Hurdle. Now, usually after the Champion Hurdle, the best action is kind of finished. But this is the sweetest tasting dessert we have had for a long time after the Champion Hurdle. It is Benny Deju v Honeysuckle and Paul Kealy. These are getting further and further apart in the market with every word that we're saying. It's remarkable. 4 to 7 with Bet365, Benny Deju. 130 Honeysuckle. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, just a few days ago it was like 11 to 8 and 7 to 4, wasn't it? I mean, it's one of those. I think Benny Deju will win, but if I'm going to have a bet, it's Honeysuckle. There's nowhere near that difference.
That is vintage Paul Kealy.
You know what I mean? Because there's just nowhere near that much between them as the market now suggests. And I love Benny. She looked really good last year. She was obviously going to win the race in the canter before coming down at the last. Those things happen though, and Honeysuckle would be a miles better horse than any of the others that have run in that race last year, other than Benny Deju. I mean, what is there, a pound between them on official ratings?
No, 4, I think.
Is it 4?
I think it's 4, yeah.
Is it 4? No, that's a lot. But I'm not sure it should be because
I agree.
I was champion hurdle winner. Probably not at her best that day on ground that didn't really suit, over a trip that didn't really suit. But now she's got soft ground. Now she's got 2.5 miles. Obviously, none of that's a bother to Benny. But end of the day, I think Benny will win. But I don't think...
But you've made a stronger case for Honeysuckle.
I don't think Honeysuckle should be anywhere near 130.
Do you know what I think is going to happen? I think people like you are going to go, yeah, I really fancy Benny. Put Benny in loads of multiples. Fancy Benny. When it comes to the race, they're going to end up back in Honeysuckle.
Yeah. That discrepancy in prices, unfathomable.
Richard, I'm going to put it to you that there's an each-way alternative in this race in the shape of Stormy Ireland, who I'm a big fan of. I think she's a different mare this year than we've seen for the last few years. She's not as good as Benny Deju, but she'll go out, she'll do her thing, she'll handle the ground, and she is in great. Like, she's won her last 3 starts. I think she'll finish in the first 3.
Is she 12 to 1?
12 to 1,
bet she's a big
5.
price. Yeah, ran a great race in it last year and has been great form. We love the ground, all that. Just as you say, you wouldn't expect her to be as good as the top 2. And the slight concern then when you're looking for an alternative each way option is that we have got 2 big guns, so you just need things to fall. You need things to fall away a bit. I'm a big Honeysuckle fan. I think she'll win.
Whoa!
Yeah, no, I just think she's an improving mare. You look at her form this year; she beat Easy Game first time out, and we know he's a decent horse. I know Apples Jade and Bicardis, weren't where they might have been a year ago when she beat them at Fairyhouse, but it was still a savage performance. She blew them away, and she beat Darver Star and Petit Mouchoir in the Irish Champion Hurdle. You know, a lot of people tell you Darver Star has a squeak in the Champion Hurdle, given the standard of the race. And she won that despite making a blunder at the last, or not making a blunder, but being slow at the last and awkward and getting going. And despite the ground probably being too quick, as Paul has said, 2.5 miles soft ground. Again, I go back to Cornerstone Lad. She's 6 years of age, so she's improving. She's got scope to improve. She's got £4 to find on Benny the Joe. I'd be amazed if she doesn't find it.
Wow.
Yeah, I think she'll win, yeah.
There we go. A few confident votes for Honeysuckle, and I am a Stormy Ireland each way fan. Moving on to the 450, it is the Northern Trust Company Novices Handicap Chase. And ladies and gentlemen, there's only one place to start. Paul Kealy, take it away.
Yeah, I've been banging the drum for Imperial Aura for quite a long while. He's obviously favourite now. He's trained by Kim Bailey, who was quite bullish. Apparently, in a preview evening he did with Ed Chamberlain.
Not as bullish as you, though.
The other day. Yeah, I've been, you know, like I said, I've been banging the drum for a while. You know, he will say that he is the price he should be now. He's favourite. He's at the head of the market. He ran in the Novices Handicap on trials day, finished second. They didn't go very fast that day. In fact, Seapars, who you fancied earlier on, he made the run in and won his race that day, and the time was considerably faster. But Simply the Bets and Imperial Aura were about 20 lengths faster than 4 out to the line because they'd gone so slow earlier. And that wouldn't have suited Imperial Aura because he's a proper staying 2.5 miler. They'll go harder here. I'm hoping he'll be up with the pace. I think every handicap chase this year, 2020 at least, at Cheltenham has been won from the front. And it is just one of those courses that if you can get into a rhythm and jump well, you need to be up there. He will be up there.
It'll be harder today in deep ground, won't it?
Yeah, but it's also hard to make up ground in deep ground as well, isn't it? It's one of those. I mean, it's like, you know, any circumstances, any race course. If you do go miles too hard, you ain't going to stay. Yeah. But if you get yourself in the rhythm at the front, it is hard to make up ground there. And I think he'll be up there and get a fairly aggressive ride. And I certainly can't see him out of the frame. In fact, I expect him to win. I've been like this for a long while.
A very long while. And you have tipped him up in the racing post at 33-1 anti-post.
I have, yeah.
So if this horse wins, like, describe the celebration. Will it be pints on tap?
Well, yeah, probably. I mean, like you said, we drank so much last week at the preview night. You know, I'm actually having a bit of a break now because, you know, they sort of definitely overdid it. So we'll see. But yeah, if he wins, I might have to open the floodgates again.
Paul Kealy, the pioneer, has a nice ring to it. Not for too long though. We love you. Imperial Aura, are you a fan?
No, I always like to look for some bit of value in these races. I know there's a bit of support for Galvin as well from Gordon's. A lot of people like him.
Very strongly in the stable.
Just wonder if he'll have quite enough experience, and you know, I think it's handicap debut, isn't it? I mean, that's a little bit of a concern at this level. The one I came down on was Trainwreck again for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore.
Treble for Rachel so far, Rich.
Like this is it. You find yourself tipping a lot of them. You think, God, can they have such a good day? But it happens. He's a second season novice, so he's had 7 runs over fences. He last ran in the Leopardstown Chase, and he was just chinned by Glamorgan Duke. And if you remember, the last fence was omitted and they went around it. And he ended up leading earlier than I'd say ideal because of that. And he was just there for Glamorgan Duke to come back at him. And he just got pipped on the line. But any second now was third. He's since won a graded race at Naas. He's in here, I think, off 139. He ran at Leopardstown off 136. When you look at some of the inflated ratings for the Irish horses this week, I'd argue that that's probably fair enough. I think he'll run a big race at 12-1. Okay,
2 strong fancies so far. This is my strongest fancy of the day. I like Hold the Note for Mick Shannon and Johnny Burke. I know he went up £12 for finishing second in the race in Warwick, but he's beaten by a strong stayer over 3 miles. And I think he is a graded horse running in a handicap. So it is Hold the Note for me at 8-1 with Bet365. We're nearly there, lads. Nearly there. We're on to the finale. It is the 5:30. It is a National Hunt Chase. Used to be over 4 miles. The conditions of the race have changed. It's now 3 miles 6. And Carefully Selected, Richard, is the strong favourite, but drifting.
Yeah, I think he's probably drifting because he hasn't been the most convincing in terms of his jumping. But I think his form, his overall profile is outstanding, I think. Ravenhill is the other one in it, and I was looking at his form last night. The ground would be a major concern for him, in my eyes. All his form is on good ground or faster even. So I would be concerned about that for him. Carefully Selected. I think his overall, if you look at what he has achieved, He beat City Island earlier in the season as well. 3 mile 6 in deep ground. You go back to his previous Cheltenham form. He was second to relegate in a bumper. He was third behind Manila Indo in the Albert Bartlett last season. That's a very high level of form compared to the rest of the opposition here today. And if he jumps cleanly, he's got the most successful amateur rider ever on him. If he can get a clean round out of him, I think he's probably going to take a bit of stop, and I wouldn't be opposing him.
I have a feeling you will.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, all depends on how much I'm winning by then, doesn't it? I mean, hopefully,
Well, we'll say
hopefully one of us will have gone through the card by now. And then what do you do with a 7-4 favourite in the last?
Let's pretend you've doubled your tank.
Right. If I've doubled my tank, well, first thing you got to look at this race. First thing you got to look at these races, jockeys.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mullins carefully selected, Jamie Codd, Ravenhill, Derek O'Connor, Forristal Malone. Those 3 jockeys have won 6 of the last 9 runnings of this race, and they're all absolutely top class, as good if not better than an awful lot of professionals out there. So get that on your side. Carefully selected is the one if he jumps. I think his form is probably better than everything else, but I don't like the way he jumps, and I think there's half a chance that Forristal Malone might be able to get to him over this extra trip. He was 4 lengths down on him last time out, but didn't lose any ground after the last, and he's bred to stay really, really well. Obviously, he was a decent enough staying hurdle when John Joe O'Neill went off third favourite for Delta Works for Temps. I think he would finish lame that day and bled, but he's a full brother to One for Arthur, who's won a Grand National, and I think the step up to a marathon trip should suit. And if you're going to have an each way bet, I think he's the one.
I think this is a terrible race, lads. This is the worst race I can remember at Cheltenham for a long, long time. And I think if he gets around, and I know there's an if in the question, but if he gets around, I think Carefully Selected will probably win. So it's Carefully Selected for me. So all that's left to do now is reveal our big call. Yes, our 3 best bets of the day. We're going to start with you, Paul Kealy, and I can probably guess what you're going to say.
Yeah, I'm going to say Imperial Aura in the 450. I'm just a little bit worried we're all going to have a nap in the same race, but then you can always do the tri-cast. But Imperial Aura for me.
Imperial Aura for Paul Kealy. For Richard Forristal.
I'm tempted to be bold and go with Cornerstone Lad, but I'm going to go with Honeysuckle. I think she's the banker of the day. Wow,
Honeysuckle in the 410. And in case you want to do a little tricksy, I'm going to go for CPAJ in the 250, the Ultima, a nice big 16-1 with Bet365. So folks, that's it for What a Shout in association with Bet365. My thanks to Paul Kealy, to Richard Forristal. I've been David Jennings. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to join us every single morning of the Cheltenham Festival.